Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Go to Market with G2X. Just a few things to keep things running smoothly today. If you experience any technical issues or have any questions during our program, just reach out to me. I'm Mary Ann Brown in the chat and I'll be happy to assist you. Today's event is going to be interactive. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, just type them into the Q&A and Alexa will answer them as they come up. Now to take over, here's Alexa Choi, the CEO of Forum.
Hello, everybody. Trying to get my camera. Technical difficulties indeed. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining. We have 21 people. Appreciate you being here with me for my lunch hour. Can't wait to talk about this. Before I dive into G2X, I wanted to give a super duper quick update on what go-to-market means for services companies, since I'm kind of assuming that everybody on the call is either services or a combination of product and services, but probably not pure product. And even if you are, this concept is going to be very familiar to you. So, what happened basically since COVID is that the government is evolving from buying pure services and they're starting to buy solutions. And so, a lot of times when you're looking at what a solution stack looks like, it includes maybe an AI accelerator, maybe a product in combination with services. And so while the government currently is breaking their head around how to change their buying practices, all of industry is shifting from traditional BD and capture over to go to market. And I'm not saying that BD and capture doesn't need to happen or that it's going to go away. It's evolving into something that's more of an engine. And that's what go to market means. So, go to market is like, okay, let's identify what our ideal customer profile is. What are they buying? How are they buying, right? And as you see the vehicle landscape kind of shifting, where CIOSP3 finally decided to die. And, then everything's being kind of moved into where? Big question mark. So the big question mark is like actually sort of that answer is like, how is your customer buying? And now that that vehicle is dead, where are those task orders moving to? And how are we going to be tracking that whole landscape? And so some of these things are in flux, right? Soup 6 just got awarded, good times, but what's going to happen with those task orders that were purely product now moving over to a services now vehicle? So as you can see, there's a lot of change happening in the industry right now, and go to market really is about how are your customers buying? What do you say that you do? And then how do you make sure that that's what you actually do? And the team on the ground knows that's what you said you're doing. And then when you hire the person that you put in front of your customer is actually that you're going to tell your customer the same story. It's like getting that story straight. So it's Stratcom, it's branding, it's events, it's who you show up to meet with at events, it's your collateral that you hand out, it's your business card that you hand out, it's your LinkedIn founder-led growth strategy, it is your BD pipeline and your gates that you do tied back to this whole entire concept of go to market. Okay, so now that we have a little bit of that going on, let's go ahead and share screen, and then we're going to talk about G2X specifically. So the reason why I love G2X and I've been a user of it, for many years, is that G2X started out as really the pulse of the industry. And, with go to market, you really have to be strong on that side of it, or you will always be behind. So, as you can see, G2X now, this is what it looks like today. It's looking awesome. Probably one of the more beautiful platforms out there. It's looking very different. So right off the bat, you've got all your settings down here. It used to be up here, which is why I'm showing it. It's moved down here. And you can see that now you have, if you scroll over your settings bar, you've got several different things you can jump into. And before I get into anything crazy, I just wanted to let you know that our support team is top tier. And we have a whole help desk behind it with SLAs and all of that stuff. So if you need help, this contact support right here will take care of you. And then if you wanted to do your own walkthrough with our customer success champion, I call her that. Her name's Julie. She's incredible. She's available if you hit the schedule a walkthrough button, and she will get you on her calendar. So this right here is your custom homepage, and it is awesome. I see a question come up in the chat. Tracy or Marianne, could you read me that question?
No, it's just people saying hi and stuff.
Oh, hey guys, hey. Okay,
And
yeah.
Julie just gave a little heart so everybody knows who she
Oh,
is. So
oh,
everybody
Julie's
can reach out to
here.
her.
Oh, awesome, awesome. I love that she's here. That's great. Yeah, so Julie's here as well. Excellent. So let's pop into the customized home pages. So this is what you're looking at right here. And when you first click in log into G2X, you're going to see your templates pop up. And I'm going to approach this from a go-to-market perspective, right? Every person is sort of in charge of a different process of smart growth, where the company is going for where the government is going, so you can be the best partner possible, right? So every single one of these roles might have a G2X login. And if you're a BD professional, which is what I prefer, just from like an overall perspective of that role, BD and capture is sort of where I would live the most. So click the BD professional and it's going to give you this layout that I have. So you have your events running across the top. Having a strong event strategy is critical to go to market because a lot of times that's where your first interaction is with the customer themselves. And you've got what, 10, 15 minutes to make a good impression, get them to trust you, get them to like you enough to get that follow-on meeting, right? And that's a lot of pressure. But first it starts with like, which events? What am I going to say? What am I going to hand out? What am I talking to them about, right? So all of that stuff requires forethought. And G2X has the biggest events database of any system. So if you pop over here into events, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go back to June just because you're going to see from an events perspective, and you know Forum is also an events company. Wednesdays are maybe the worst days. 12 different events on Wednesday. And then Tuesday, so basically the middle of the week. Everybody puts their events Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And even if you're thinking about it from an event planning perspective, don't put events on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, apparently. It is just crazy. But the good news is you can pretty much eat and drink every single day of the week without buying groceries, which is good because groceries are expensive right now. So I make myself laugh. So also a few of the things you can do in here is you can export this. And so if you wanted to export it into Excel and kind of line up a week for an executive that doesn't live here and hand it to them and be like, here's your plan for when you're in town, that's a really good use case for this. And I see some questions popping up in the chat. Marianne, just keep an eye on it. Let me know if there's anything I need to know.
Nope, still just people introducing themselves.
Okay, all right, cool. Excellent. And you can also do it by week, by day, and then you can build out your agenda. You can do a search. So if you're only looking for CMS, you can do that here. But let's go back to the home, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why this homepage is so compelling from a go-to-market perspective. So you have your live feed of opportunities and contract awards. So some of the questions I get when I'm showing this right here is like, well, how often does this get updated? It's updated. It's a live pull from sam.gov. So imagine, remember how over the years we would wait for the daily take to come and we would look at it and we'd be like, ooh, this company won, this company lost, this is so exciting. So you can actually set up this right here to be tracking what you care about. So you're going to see I saved the NAICS codes here, 541-512, 519, 611, 5413, 430. Let me show you how you do that. You hit this edit dashboard button up here and it pops open these little widgets. I hate that word, but it is what it is. So this little widgety looking thing here, you hit that and it's going to allow you to set up a filter based on things you care about. So when I first got this, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna do like the most tight search ever. Okay, that was a bad idea. Don't do that. Be smarter than me and set up a broad search. Then you can like be looking through it to do your own mental filtering. So that's kind of why I don't have any agency filters on it and I'm only doing it by NAICS code because NAICS code is a pretty narrow filter anyway. So I also decided to do matching across both of these or else it was hard for me to correlate them. You know what I mean? So I've got, these are pretty much technology, IT services, NAICS codes. And you can see like clicking into this right before when I was making sure that everything was working on the G2X side before I jumped on here. This Cadre 5 LLC, right? This 37.9 million here from the Department of Energy. This was actually pretty interesting. Sorry, that just, wow, it just happened real fast. I just clicked right there and it took me right there. Calm down, G2X. I wanted to click on the award and show you that you can jump in here and take a look at the actual award. So this is actually pretty fascinating because if you're familiar with energy, they have two funding sources. I mean, kind of. They have like big energy and they have NNSA. And NNSA historically has had the more money. So NNSA, this is a project management information system generation. I had a lot of questions about this when I saw it, but I couldn't go down that rabbit hole. I just wanted to show you guys that it's here. And then you can add it to your pipeline. You can add a note to it. And the really cool thing is you can hit this watch button. And if there's other mods or anything else happening on this particular contract, we'll send you an email directly. So you can kind of keep track of it. So I just put a watch, but I'm going to unwatch it because I don't, as cool as I thought it was, I don't need to be getting emails about that. All right. So you've got your awards running over here. You've got your opportunities running over here. I'm going to show you a cool little workflow that I do when I log into G2X. I kind of peep this over here and think, oh, wow, this is some cool stuff. So of course, I want to know sources sought kind of stuff because a lot of times, I mean, there's a common thing people say in GovCon where they say, oh, if it drops on Sam, it's the first time you've seen it, then you're gonna lose. I don't necessarily buy into that all of the time, but it is a by and large true statement that there's a lot of shaping that's been going on by the time it hits Sam. So that's true. So let's look at the sources sought kind of stuff, and I'll go into the next page because I think there's gonna be something more exciting. So let's look at this DSPO Connect program for suicide prevention. Suicide prevention is one of the causes that means the most to me, especially for veterans. So I'm going to pop this open and I'm going to show you a couple of the different things on the screen and from a go-to-market perspective, what's cool. So first of all, who's with me on this call and old enough to remember fbo.gov? Oops, I didn't put that thumbs down. I meant thumbs up. So is anybody on here remember fbo.gov where you could actually advertise your interest on the government site and people would be like, that's how you'd find some teaming partners? Oh my God, it was so awesome. I loved that. I'm gonna actually open up the chat so I can talk to my people. Let's see. Miss FBO. Chelsea. Yes, girl. Hey, Shane. Defense Unicorns. Hey, big fan of Defense Unicorns. Hey, Bill. Hey, Rod. Okay, yep. All right. So I see everybody. Yeah, FBO is dope. Love that. So you can advertise interest on these. You can watch this, which would then send you updates as the government updates it. You can add it to your pipeline. You can copy this and you can share it. But let me show you something really cool. You can hit this dive deeper with Lumen. Oh, by the way, if you get really, I'm going to use a DC slang word, sice about this opportunity, and you wanted to send it to somebody or just go to the SAM profile, like the SAM record, hit this view on SAM, and it'll take you straight to the SAM record. But like honestly, we're in the AI age where you don't want to have to like open every document and read something to really understand it. So you're going to dive deeper with Lumen over here. And you can do any of these up here that we kind of pre-canned for you, or you can hit this top one up here, which is summarize this opportunity. And then what it's going to do is it's going to open up all of the documents. So you can see it doing that right here. And it's going to read them for you and give you a summary of exactly what the government's asking for. And then kind of like think about, while it's doing that, it does it pretty quick. Think about like where you could go with this. So imagine you're a small business and you're writing a response to this RFI, but you want to make sure you sway it to be small business. What things would you put in there to make sure that, I think this is for DHA, Defense Health, Defense Human Resources Activity. Okay. So what kind of things would you want to put in there to make sure that it sways small business? You can ask that question here. And so if you start asking those kind of nuanced questions, it's not going to do the work for you, although that's a different part of the system I'll tell you about that's coming very soon. But what it's going to do is it's going to just help you think about that perspective as you create your RFI. So as we go on down, it's gonna what the work is. It's gonna be like environmental scanning, policies, initiatives, command priorities, a PowerPoint brief. Wow, they're asking for an actual PowerPoint brief. I wonder if Doge has seen this. Oh, I digress. Anyway, so basically they're asking for all these different things, and then it's going to give you a little bit of suggested prompts that you can ask. Draft a capability response, compare to other programs like this, find competing vendors. So you can do all of those different things that are in Lumen. Lumen is a very powerful tool and very useful. So that was a little bit of a workflow, and I'm going to show you again how I got there. So we're at our homepage. We actually did our edits over here, and then we changed something over here. We hit apply, we hit save, and now we have this really cool list of opportunities running over here every single day. We clicked into one and it brought us to that sources sought, which was for suicide prevention. And then I hit the Lumen button right here, which then brought me over here. So that was, again, a review of the workflow. Does anybody have any questions on how to get there from your homepage? Probably no questions, I'm assuming. Awesome. Okay, couple of things I want to point out, and I'm going to be pointing this out throughout this little chit chat today. So, I do have a teacher background, so I know you have to repeat things a few times for it to kind of stick, which is why I kind of go over it a few times. So, first of all, notice Lumen is here. And one of the cool things about Lumen is, you can ask Lumen a lot of different things. So I basically was like, how does Lumen work? Give me a practical orientation to what can I actually do here? So you can actually ask this AI, which is up here. It's really like think about like a GovCon go-to-market agent, right? What are you going to ask it? What do you care about? Start to just play with this. And some of the questions that we get in the help desk are like, hey, Alexa, can you tell me every soup 5 task order that was awarded to fill in the blank vendor? That's a question for Lumen. Absolutely, you can ask that question. So as you start to think about some of the big questions from a vehicle perspective that I've already brought up earlier today, start asking some of those questions as it pertains to you, your company, what you sell, what the government buys from you, all that here. And then, just kind of like see how it goes and let us know. If you run into any problems at all, remember this is sitting right here. This is like a little life raft. It's a pretty cute graphic. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to point out is if you do change something here and hit apply changes, there's a little tiny box that pops up down here. Let me just show you what it looks like. We're going to add, wait, I already had that one in there. Okay, see how it says reset or save? You're going to want to hit save. And then if you don't do that, then it won't save. And you're going to be like, why isn't this working? It is working. Just have to hit your view and then hit save. Okay, cool. So as you scroll on down, I wanted to let you know that I also changed the bottom part here, and this is the curated market intelligence. So historically, going back in time, if there was like a GovCon Jeopardy, one of the categories would be like market intelligence, and G2X would be one of those questions in there. And we've been around for, G2X has been around for, I don't know, like 16, 17 years, right? Maybe. And we used to have a newsletter that basically would tell you who's winning, who's losing, what market moving things are happening, which government folks are moving into industry and which ones are going from industry into government. And also, what are some of the market moving news things that are happening? And so over the years, we've sort of migrated from that newsletter over to this platform. So that's what you're looking at here. And the team is still there doing that research every single day. Well, I mean, not today because they're off today, this week, for the rest of the week. They're doing like their roll-ups. So while we're here, if I hit edit the dashboard, you can also edit what you're being shown here. And what I did was I actually grabbed opportunity. No, I didn't do opportunities. I basically did industry moves, protests, and news because everything else was sort of covered up above there. So you can then just grab a few things, news, and then all that stuff and hit apply changes, right? And then hit save. And then you're going to notice that it's going to be giving you all of those different pieces, but it's not going to give you like the rolled up awards because you've got that up here, right? So that's what I did there, and that's how I saved it. So now you have a deep understanding of your customized homepage. Please feel free to play with that. The next thing I'm going to point out that we've done that a lot of people don't know that we have done is we've broken the system into 3 different chunks. So think about it from like, what jobs are you trying to do? So the first jobs that you're trying to do is really you can explore. So you can browse all, and this is also a global search, and the global search is pretty cool. So if you typed in the word cyber, it gives you a really cool search across every single data component that we have. So you can see forecast everywhere where the word, cyber is popping up. You can see opportunities, you can see grants, oh my goodness, this goes on and on and on. And then SLED is something I'll talk about in a second. So state and local and education, even though those are 3 very different things, for whatever reason, every system always just puts them all together. So yeah, so that was in our global search up here. You can do a browse all here. I'm going to show you the different splits of the curated intelligence. So let's just say that you're a DoD focused person and you want to just take a look at the slice of DoD. You can come in here and you can just take a look at the different opportunities and awards and different things that are happening. And you can do that same split for FedCiv and for health. Also, the next thing I was going to talk about is the work section. So the work section is like literally trying to move some opportunity from one spot into another, right? Or you want to put a watch on it to keep watch of this to do that, or the bookmarks to save it to find later, the notes to communicate with somebody else inside of G2X on your team, right? But let's talk about the teaming hub real quick. So this is really awesome, and I kind of feel like it's a little bit revolutionary because I don't think I've ever seen a system do this before. And those of you who know me know that I spent 5.5 years working for GovWin and then a couple years working for Bloomberg Government and then did like a full 8A run with a company. So been around the block a little bit. And ultimately, let me show you what this is. So you can see that we've got these cards and people are basically asking for teaming partners, and you can express your interest. You can put a note here and that will actually send that company a note directly. And if you wanted to post your own opportunity, the more information you put in here, the better. But one thing I do want to point out is that you can post it anonymously, because waving your flag out there and saying like, hey, we're going to team on this and we're looking for teaming partners might not be something that you want to do publicly, right? So if you don't want to do it publicly, then you're going to post it anonymously, and that's actually absolutely an option. So you can also click into any of these, and you can see that this one has 4 responses, 56 views, and that kind of like market intelligence of like who's looking at it, how many times, how many responses there have been, is kind of also another throwback to FBO, because you can see that kind of stuff in there as well. So the watch list, I kind of told you, you can actually put a watch list on pretty much anything. So I have one on Andreal, yeah, tiny company, I never heard of it, just kidding. Um, but like you can put a watch list on opportunities, companies, awards, so you just keep getting like updates coming to you. Bookmarks, I highly recommend bookmarking anything that you find in the system that you like, because trying to find it again is a huge headache. So, for example, this is the source selection statement from NASA for NCAPS. You know, that was the deal where CACI swept a very large deal from NASA, and nobody saw them coming, and they put out a source selection statement. So we published it. And of course, I bookmarked it. So I was like, let me try to find that again. So yeah, anything you find interesting, bookmark it so you can have it here. Notes is something I really, really love, because if you've got teams of people inside of G2X and you want to like talk to them a little bit, you can kind of see like this is an actual opportunity where Ron, the CEO of G2X, was like, hey, like, so this deserves a look. What do you think? And I can reply to him and just say like, hey, yeah, I am going to do some market research, and get a gate going. So then you can type at to mention, you could do all kinds of different things here, but you could just hit that. You can also leave yourself a private note here. So I think that this is kind of like a cool thing, like a collaboration, integration kind of a thing. And then as you go down the left-hand side here, you're going to see that you have a lot of research opportunities. Now, being a go-to-market person who now has a consulting company around go-to-market, and actually there's a lot of interest in go-to-market right now, because every single services company is pivoting to a solutions company. And if you're not, then you're not going to survive what's coming next. So you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to punch above your weight class. You're going to want to have your story straight. You're going to want to have your stratcom on lock. And so in order to do that, you need to understand not just where the government is today, but where is it going? And that requires research. So the bottom piece here is critical to those kind of actions. I'm going to pop into company search here. I really do love our company profiles. I think, just from having looked at government data my entire career, is probably the most beautiful company profile out there, period. If you don't know what you're looking for, you can pop into the filters over here on the side and you can kind of find a company. So if you're looking for 8A joint ventures that are headquartered in Florida, let's say you want to find like a SOCOM focused company. So, for example, I got asked a question the other day, and usually I can get an answer to anything. So let me pose the question to you guys. I need a service disabled veteran owned company, everybody does these days, that does Appian work at SOCOM. I was like, uh, that's a little harder when you go like top level, bottom level, bottom level, bottom level, right? So what you want to do is you want to go Top level, stop there. Service disabled veteran. Okay, cool, cool. All right, so what's the next step there? The next step is Florida, headquartered in Florida. Okay, cool. So stop there. Service disabled, headquartered in Florida. Take that entire list and work backwards from there. So that's how you want to run your searches for anything that you're looking for. For example, here's another one. I need a woman-owned small business company that's doing work at the Department of State that has a top secret clearance. Oh my goodness, that search threw me for a loop. Okay, so woman-owned small business, Department of State past performance, top secret clearance. So what I did with that search was I backtracked it and said, okay, anybody that has a prime contract at the Department of State is going to have a top secret clearance because 9.5 times out of 10, you can't do work at the Department of State without a top secret clearance. Even a secret's not going to get you that prime spot. So I pulled all of the women-owned small businesses that were doing prime work at the Department of State, and then I did a quick search to make sure that it was mostly all top secret, and then I sent that out. So I want you to kind of get in that way of thinking when you're looking at lists of companies. Start as broad as possible and then start narrowing it down, but don't add all your filter criteria at one time or you're just going to end up with nothing. Hopefully that is a good piece of search feedback. So now that we're here, let's pop into this company here. Speaking of service disabled veteran owns, the market is giving us a lot of signals towards what set-asides are really going to be fire moving forward. So really the biggest one right now is service disabled veteran owned. There's two different bills right now out there to, I wouldn't say cancel the 8A program, but really like de-incentivize it. And then same with the women-owned small business program. It's really like looking into that. So I would say that if you wanted to do something that, contracting officers move for compliance and they move for low risk. So because I know that that's how they move, I would stay squarely in the service disabled veteran owned space when I'm looking at teaming partners and have a stack of them that I would go to for cyber, for all the big things and all the big vehicles. I'd have it lined up. So anyway, here's a service disabled veteran owned company called Visual Connections. And this is our first time looking at a company profile. So I just wanted to tell you that a couple of things you can do here. First of all, you can export this whole portfolio the whole thing if you want to. You can put a watch on it. I'm already watching Visual Connections. You can share it right here by hitting that share button. And you can ask Lumen. So the nice thing about this, if you pop into Ask Lumen, you can summarize the company's contract profile without having to break your head against it. Because while this profile is very beautiful, and let's come down and look at it, you still have to use your brain to like look at all the colors and the numbers, and the agency breakdown. And so just looking at this from a bird's eye view, CMS is their anchor customer. They have DLA work, Veterans Affairs. They have work at the agency, Healthcare Research Quality, Air Force. And then this is probably Treasury maybe. So if you come on down, if you scroll your mouse over the different award IDs, you can see that you've got the actual work itself. And of course, just like I showed you on the awards database, you can click into any one of these and it will bring you to the exact award. And you can take a look at all the other details in there. You can actually download their capability statements from here. And then you can see every time that our team has written anything about them. So this actually was written just the other day, June 29th. And this is an award. So this is what our awards look like. And the nice thing about our awards is that it gives you like upfront information on this contract itself. And then if you scroll down, it's going to give you a little bit of a snapshot on the company itself. And then it's going to give you a snapshot on the agency itself. And you can also take a look towards the bottom at the related intelligence, which is pretty cool because if you're like me, you're looking at this award and you're thinking, wow, okay, this is pretty cool. But what about, that's how my brain works. Like, okay, is this their recompete? Yes, it is, right? It just like one glance, you can see that this is a recompete. So they won their recompete. That's awesome. And that tells you a lot of different things about kind of what's out there. So I'm going to come back here, Visual Connections. This Ask Lumen, it will summarize the company contract profile. And you can also ask any of these questions here, or you can ask your own question. Don't think you have to use our canned stuff, right? I'm going to come all the way down to the bottom. I think we talked all about this. Yeah. Oh, there's one more piece I wanted to show you. This is really interesting. I get on a lot of calls with companies who would like to detangle the Alaska Native and the other tribal subsidiary question. So I'll pose the question to you like it's posed to me. Alexa, we know we're going to be competing with fill in the blank Alaska Native. I want to know what subsidiary are they probably going to use to compete on this deal. Can you imagine trying to answer that question? Because it's really hard to understand the mapping behind an Alaska Native. There's hundreds of companies, and each one has its own UEI and NAICS code. And if you think about the big companies like Khaki and Accenture and some of all of that data out there is hard to like wrap your brain around it. So what we've done here, and this is actually going to be getting better and better and better, is we've really mapped all of the JVs out. So if it says subsidiary, you're gonna see that Visual Connections subsidiaries are Visual Connections joint ventures. So you've got VCH Partners, which I know off the top of my head is a T4 NG2 Prime. VCH Partners is. So that's awesome. Vets2 Synergy has some work as well. Encore 3 Partners. Now, one of the questions I get a lot when I show this right here um, is does it tell you who the JV is with on the other side, right? So this is, Visual Connections is the holder of the JV and the managing partner of it, right? But who's the other half? Who's the other half of the JV, right? So that's the piece that we're building into it to complete that 360 view. And then also, if you look at this, it does give you some clues. So you've got a list of teaming partners here that they've ever teamed with, which is nice also to see from like a bird's eye view when you're looking into a company. So right now we're looking at who Visual Connections has ever teamed with. And you're going to see Deloitte, Accenture, KPMG. So some of these bigger companies, right? So this company right here, Harmonia, is actually the partner, the JV partner. And I just know that off the top of my head. But this is like, I would say for now, until we flag it as the JV partner, I would say just looking in there is like a good clue. So one more way to look at the data down here towards the bottom is if you're looking at the sub awards, you can also see everybody that Visual Connections has subbed to as well down here. And you can kind of map that back to the contract itself and understand a little bit about their subcontract landscape from there. Okay, this was a lot of information from a company perspective. Does anybody have any questions before I move on from here?
Everybody's very, very quiet.
I know. I'm like, is it just really boring or is it just really dense? Or is it both of those things? And it's okay to say it's both. Just tell me. Okay, cool. Well, I'm excited and hype about our company profiles, so I'll leave it there then. If you've claimed a company profile, it's going to be under here. This is the G2X profile because my login is the G2X profile, but your company will pop up here. And then you can manage the profile. You can, if you are the owner of the account, you can upload your state capability statements. You can change the data that's listed in there and all that stuff. It does mirror your SAM.gov profile. So just to let you know. I wanted to point out some of the other data like research points that you can go through. SAM.gov, of course, is all here and it's running here, and you can actually put filters. You can then save your searches, and I have a saved search which is around like events and graphics and doing all kinds of different stuff. So if I popped open a vehicle wrap for recruiting vehicles, that's an interesting piece of work. All kinds of interesting things in here from that perspective. But you can set your own filters, you can save them, you can select your different rows to export, you can do all kinds of things in here. But really, this is going to look like once you get into one of these things, this is going to look like what you saw before when we first clicked on it from the home page, because that basically is going to be that's like pulling it into the opportunities database. And then from there, you can get into eBuy. So this is one of the things that I wanted to point out that that we've done here is that we have this really cool GSA eBuy pull where you give us your logins and then we pull the task orders against your logins and then we put them all here for you, and and you know how it is inside of eBuy where if you don't download the documents and save them, they just disappear. So having them inside of G2X, it actually allows you to go back and take a look at it. And if I open this, it looks like CISA is looking for some ServiceNow implementation and administration. It looks like this response deadline is closed and it's on Oasis Plus. So you've got some different ways of looking at this, and it's over here in eBuy. And if you did want to like actually get that activated for your company, let Julie know. She's on the call today because she can then get you set up with somebody on the G2X side. It's pretty easy to set it up, but we usually like to like just white glove to make sure you're good. And if you run into any challenges, help you out. Okay. And then SLED we talked a little bit about, which is like state and local education. You can see that we are tracking opportunities from all over the country. And if you open up these, you're going to get all the documents, you're going to get everything in here. And then you've got your Ask Lumen up here at the top. So you could do a deep dive, you can share, you can put notes on it. You've got all that stuff here. So feel free to play around in SLED. I just have to say one more time, I think I said it earlier today, state is one thing. Local is another thing, and education is a whole other thing. Those are three very different things, but we like to call it SLED. Welcome to PubSec. All right, forecasts. So I think you guys probably have all heard of the I think they're calling it the GSA Gateway. That's the forecast acquisition tool. And that tool is trying to be the forecast tool for every single agency. The government's trying to standardize behind that. And, GSA has a lot of cachet behind them as well. So we are tracking everything that they're putting out in there. So you can kind of come in here and keyword search and do your filters and all of that. And you can open these and get more information on these as well. So we've got the DLA DIBS in here as well, which is the DLA buying system. And then we've got the SIBR and SITR in here as well. So you've got all different kinds of research you can do. You can search the grants. You can search awards kind of mirrors your opportunities. So you've got your contracts, your vehicles, which are your IDVs, your OTAs, OTIDVs, which is a fancy way of saying OTA vehicles. Then you could look at your awards for SIBR SITR and your awards for DLA and DIBS as well. But I'm going to pop into agencies and also show you that you can do some deep dive searches into like different customers and how they buy. And then interestingly enough, this is one thing I love to do is do some market intelligence around NAICS codes themselves. So this is very interesting. Let's take a 5-year a 5-year look at the 541 512 NAICS code set. It's fairly interesting. So yeah, wow, this is great. It looks like Lead It got a pretty nice ServiceNow award. That's awesome. I know those guys. And then you come on down, you've got your contract awards. This is just another way of slicing the data. This is by NAICS code. And then the cool thing is you've got your PSC code splits as well. So that's really, if you were looking at a vector map, which honestly, I'm not smart enough in mathematics to even know what that means. But like if you take your PSCs and your NAICS codes and you blend them together, you really get to that fine point of like where you need to be for your ideal customer profile. And this is kind of how you get there. And then this also gives you an opportunities view into this NAICS code as well. What are they buying right now? Right? So they're buying all kinds of different things. And then any kind of related news that we have around this NAICS code, it's all down there in the bottom. So you can do this for PSC codes, you can do it for NAICS codes, you can do it for agencies. And last but not least, we have the Doge tracker, which I think is still out there. And it's been a while now since we've been tracking this. Very interesting stuff. So let me pop back home and open up the floor for some live Q&A. Don't everybody ask questions all at one time. Anybody have any questions?
There is one question asking about the free trial over in chat.
Okay. What does the free trial question say?
Says, if you tried the product with a free trial multiple years ago, can G2X offer a new free trial so we can test the new product features and enhancements before we invest in the product?
Absolutely. No, definitely. We want you to. And in fact, we are kind of, super flexible about this free trial thing. So you get in there. I think that we still give you 2 weeks to access to everything, play with it all. And we won't even check, I promise, if you trialed a couple years ago, because the product is in a completely different place, and we get that. So yeah, that's completely understandable. Please sign up. Julie will get you started if she probably saw your question and she can help you out. Yep. And then a couple of things I wanted to bring up is kind of, the way that technology is moving, where G2X is today at this exact moment in time isn't going to be where it is like even 2 weeks from now. So we are going to be launching a product called, I'm trying to remember what we're calling it now. It's been through a couple of name iterations. I think it's called Bid Hub, where if you open an opportunity and you say, okay, we're going to chase this one down, right? Whether it's an RFI or an RFP or whatever, you open it inside of here, you're going to be able to do a go, no go decision matrix inside of G2X. And then also, it's going to have the ability to start putting that response together for you, whether it's an RFI or an RFP from a compliance perspective and this and that. We're not going to go head to head per se, I don't think, with some of the tools that do like end-to-end AI proposal writing, but we want to support in the ways that is going to make sense moving forward for you to the way that you want to use an AI tool to help you do that, right? You don't want to go from like zero to red team and then pull it out and then yeah, and by the way, I've sat in enough government meetings to know that's what people are doing. People on this call are like, well, I don't do that. That's good. Don't do that. Do not do that. Right. So you want to use AI to put some things together for you, but not to write it for you. Really, there's no replacement for human thought, honestly, at this point, anyway. So that's coming. BidHub is coming. I think it's coming within the next couple of weeks, so that'll be super exciting. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is we do have API connectors as well. And I know that there are probably people on the call that have their own AI tools that they've built, right? So if you want the G2X API to be plugging into a tool that you've already built on your side to pull in and pull out and build this and build that, we've got people that do that with our APIs. So that the API connector is another option, and it's like a little bit more technical than what I have going on. But we're happy to put you in touch with Ron Jones, the CEO, and he would be happy to walk you through how to use the API connectors. All right. Well, I'm going to keep it open for like another minute. So if you're thinking of a question and you're like, oh, that question might be dumb, I'm open to dumb questions as well, whether it's even just like around go to market or anything else. Anybody have any questions? Okay, then I'll leave you with a piece of intel. I know I saw Bill Pratt on the call. I will say it's about DHS. So there's a clause, and I don't remember off the top of my head, although I should, that says in the FAR that you can give the RFPs to only the companies who have submitted the RFIs. So DHS is running down the street with that. So if you see an RFI come out of DHS that you are even slightly interested in, make sure that you respond to the RFI because they're actually using that as a down select kind of, and they're giving the RFPs to the companies that responded to the RFIs. So that's something that's kind of new, and I was a little surprised. So that I'm going to leave you guys with that piece of intel. And thank you so much for sharing your lunch hour with me, or 45 minutes. I look forward to seeing you at the next one. We'll be doing this every single month. So by the next one, I'll be going over BidHub and some of the other stuff. And I hope you have a wonderful, safe 4th of July. Everybody, thank you so much.